What is up? How we doing? Hopefully everybody can hear me. Took a little bit of time off, but I'm back. We're back. A little bit of news. We may have something else in the works. Somebody got a hold of me the other day. Not going to mention the name yet. About a week ago, and had an idea for a show, and it's something I've been thinking about. So, but I didn't know how to do it alone. And I didn't know who to reach out to co-host. Well, guess what? Somebody reached out to me and I was all in. I was like, perfect. So it looks like after the first of the year, we're going to go down to the interview show being bi-weekly. Do it once every 2 weeks. A little more of a, it's getting hectic, but you never know. I might slide one in and do 3 times a week. I might go back to do it 4 times a month. Who knows? But it's going to be probably slow down. And then this other one is going to kind of fill in a little bit, maybe once a month, twice a month, boom. But I'm not leaving. I had to take a little break. I had to do a show, the one with Ron Keel and everybody on it, which went over well. The Toys for Tots raised a couple thousand and got 3 boxes of toys. So we did really good. Really good. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Everybody reached out, whether it was donations, everything. You guys were amazing as usual. I can never thank you guys enough. Anytime I have something like a Toys for Tots or a benefit for a cancer patient, you guys just step up to the plate all the time. That's why I have you guys. You guys are just amazing every single time. There was some other kind of news. I forgot what it was. Um, but whatever. Oh, I didn't do the intro. Okay, I know everybody's going to get on me about the intro. Where's the intro? Where's the intro? It's coming. First of the year. Like I said, I've been busy. But it is coming. Don't worry. Everybody's videos that you sent me are currently in queue and they're ready to go. It's just I got to add some background music and add some flair to it. You know what I'm talking about. So, all right. Now, the reason why we're all here, not for me. I know it's not for me, not for my ugly mug, but we got a pretty special guest. I am really excited to talk to this dude. I know I ain't going to get a word in. Actually, he's really shy. He doesn't talk very much. I'm going to have to do all the talking. This is going to be one of them boring listen to Mike shows. Not a chance. This guy is one of the perfect guests. I know I'm not going to be able to shut him up, which is a absolute good thing. I love this guy. I've already talked to him, and he's such a. I think you're going to enjoy this one. So let's get right to it and add Mr. Rik Fox to the stream.
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
Okay, good.
Good.
Yes, Savannah.
Have to, we have technical issues. Oh boy,
That's
animals on the show.
that's Savannah. Say hi,
Savannah.
Hi,
Hi,
Savannah.
Savannah. Hi, Savannah. She's got the black hair too.
Yeah,
A little
we
bit of
we
white.
uh
You
we
got
shop at the same rock and roll bandana store.
it does look like she has a bandana. That's awesome. I mean, that's cool. So, how's everything?
So
How
we
you
finally
doing?
we finally got all the technical stuff out of the way. Got it working.
It always happens. I mean,
I'm telling
we're,
you.
musicians, not technical gurus. It just is the way it is. I don't know how I know my way around this crap, but every
Yeah.
time I think I do, they change something or computer updates, this, that, the other thing, and then you're back to square one on learning everything again.
Yeah. Well, like I said, before she passed, my wife got me this laptop and a computer, and she was an IT tech. And she was going to set everything up for me, and then she never got around to it. And I'm like, now I have to try and figure this stuff out on my own, and I don't have any tech support to help me with all this.
I'm sure she's right there over your shoulder, man. She is.
I
I
hope
know.
so.
I
I
know
hope
she
so.
is. She's
I hope
sitting
so.
right there. She's got your back like she's
Well,
always had your back.
right there behind me is my little shrine to her
There
with
you
some of
go.
our pictures and whatnot. And every morning I get up and I go over to the picture frame and I touch it and I say, morning, my love, because that's what she used to say to me,
Really.
And then when I go to bed at night, I touch the frame and say, good night, my love, like that. And, I think she's probably come through in ways maybe only I would figure out. Music
Right.
was a real big thing between us. And so right after she passed, I started hearing a lot of. I always have a radio on in the kitchen. I'm terrified of a deadly quiet house.
Oh, I hate it.
There's just something about a house with
Right.
no sound in it, and it's
No.
so I always have the radio on it. This classic rock station, and 90 Q94, the mountain, and there's the plug, and
There you go.
yeah, and there's certain songs that always come on when I go in the kitchen. That what's the word I'm looking for? Um, uh, uh, um, it's on the tip of my tongue. Resonate. There's like
Resonate.
certain songs resonate with
Resonate.
her. It's either REO Speedwagon or Heart, or there's just certain
Love Heart.
songs, and it's the lyrics. It's like she's
Right.
speaking to me through those specific lyrics
Absolutely.
because she figures that's how I will understand what she's trying to say.
Absolutely.
So that's how it resonates with me.
Right, and I'm sure of it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in death is not the end. It is not the end.
It's just another doorway.
Right, and they're with us. They're watching over us. They're on the other side. They've got all the answers that we don't know yet, and but they're and she was a part of your soul. My wife, I can't imagine dealing without her. But I'm sure if God forbid anything was to ever happen, she's right there with me every step of the way. No matter what.
I get from a lot of people. I can't imagine what you're going through, and I wouldn't. You couldn't wish that on anybody because it's terrible.
No.
It's just wrenching. It's really gut wrenching. To be with somebody for 22 years or whatever. A really long length of time, several decades, and then all of a sudden, like that, they're gone.
Like that.
And it's like in a boat with one oar. You're going in circles in the water. And
Right.
It's like, what do I do now?
I can understand that. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I was thinking about it on the way home from work today. I think, before the show, I think, and, I was like, man, I couldn't imagine how, I don't even know how I would continue to breathe. I don't understand. I can't imagine it, man. It just.
Well, the grieving process is awful. And there's no end to it. There's no rules to grieving. You can grieve for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I probably will. I look back and I'm like, there's all these gifts that she shared with me that you don't realize they're gifts at the time. But then when they're not there anymore, you look back and wow, she taught me all about horses. She taught me about this. She taught me about that. And it's like they're gifts. They come in your life, they share things with you in your life, and then they're gone. And it's like, wow, it's really heavy, So
and now like you said, she's kind of speaking to you through music, and music is what we all understand. The ones of us who get it, and it just speaks to us, and she's speaking to that.
I'm waiting for the dream visit. I haven't gotten one of those yet.
Dream visit.
Some of her other girlfriends. Some of her other girlfriends said, "Oh yeah, she already came to me in a dream," and I'm like, "Yeah, all of the girlfriends, but not me. I thought I was number one. I thought I was number one."
She's saving the best for last, man.
Sure, that's what we tell ourselves.
That's what.
That's what we tell ourselves.
We got to keep going. We got to tell ourselves something positive every now and then.
But you get in that bed every night, and that person they're not there.
Right.
We have a king size bed, 4-poster king size, medieval Renaissance bed, and I get in the bed and it's like she's not there. It feels weird, I mean, the cats all come and curl up and sleep on me, but
that's not the same. I go through the same thing where if my wife goes up to I'm originally from Pennsylvania. We live down here in South Carolina. If she's got to go up and visit family and I just can't get off work or I decide not to, and she's out of the bed for a night, you can't sleep.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a problem with it. It's like, where is she? That I could
She's
stack pillows up and bring the dog in, but it's not gonna work.
she was my Linus security blanket.
Linus.
You know.
That reminds me, I still gotta watch Charlie Brown Christmas. I
Yeah.
missed Charlie
Yeah.
Brown Thanksgiving, but I gotta watch that.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
I have a huge movie collection over here. I have all my Christmas movies already pulled out of the DVD slots, ready to go. And
Ready to go.
you
And
know,
you got now you watch
you're
Hallmark movies?
you're from New York, right?
No, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay. Well, yeah, I still
Right
I hear
there.
I hear the East Coast accent.
I
Well,
know.
put Pennsylvania. If you had it in Pennsylvania, in New York, they had it in Pennsylvania. It was every Thanksgiving and Christmas. They would play the Laurel and Hardy movie, March of the Wooden
Yep.
Soldiers.
Yep.
I watched it ever
Yep.
since I was a kid, and I watch it every year, and I have it on DVD, and I watch it, every holiday.
There's them traditions that you do every single year. Doesn't matter how big, famous, or how whatever you are. Like me, I gotta say, I have to watch Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I just watched that the other day. It doesn't matter who you are. There's that kid inside you that
Sure.
still needs that. What you grew up on. My dad put this movie on every single year, and we put these TV shows we watched as a family. Doesn't matter where you go in life, whatever, you always come back to home.
Yeah. So in our house growing up in Brooklyn, a lot of kids grow up, their dads are sports guys, and they get to bring up their sons
Right.
into sports. My dad, there was not sports in the house. It was movies.
That's how my dad was.
And on Saturday afternoon or Sunday, we used to watch what they had, the cliffhanger serials.
No,
Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, and all
Buck
of that.
Rogers. Yep.
All the classic movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s
Yep.
and whatnot. So I grew up with the golden age of television and movies and comedians and cartoons, all that stuff. So that's always been with me, in my roots all the way till today. And it took a while for when I shared that with my wife. It took because we were 10 years apart, the age difference. Okay. I was born in 55. She was born in 65. So she missed out on a lot of that. And I would share this with her because sometimes she wouldn't understand my dry humor, my Marx Brothers type humor,
right?
Smart ass stuff.
Right.
And she wouldn't get it. And I'd play it. I go, now you see where I got it from. And she's like, all right, now I get it.
It would click. Yep. It would click. So, that's how, in my house, my dad was the movie guy. Wasn't a big sports guy. Wasn't really a big music guy, except for like Eddie Rabbitt and stuff like that. But, when my parents got divorced and he moved into his own place, and his whole living room was just covered with DVDs. You go in, it was like a video store. I'd go in and pick a few that I'd take home with me and watch. And then that was the reason why I had to come back out and see them, because I had to return the movies.
Yeah.
They pick up some other ones. So there was always a reason to go visit Dad.
Yeah. And then in North Hollywood, when we were in California, there was a place, I think it was called Eddie D's Saturday Afternoon Matinee or something. And you could go in there and you could find almost anything you wanted from way back till modern times. But I got a lot of stuff through them. And then there's a place in I think it's in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia or something. Oldies.com. They used to be called Nina's, and then it's oldies.com. I got that through my dad, and I got tons of movies through them. And then I'm on the mailing list. They said, Mr. Fox, you're one of the people that have kept us in business over the last couple of years.
You're welcome. Can you send me a free freaking movie or what?
I've got hundreds of DVDs over here.
Right.
And my wife would always say, well, put a movie on. Right. And we have enough movies here. Like if it was a bomb shelter, we could watch movies for months,
Right.
But,
you got to have it. There's got to be Hey, this is Regina Rand. She said, "Hi, Rik Fox."
Hi, Regina. That's the widow of Randy Rand, my friend Randy Rand from Autograph.
Yep. Yep. Hi, Regina. Yep. Know her from the Monsters of Rock cruise, from Monsters on the Mountain. Just a big music family that we have.
The thing is, her husband Randy passed away about a month right before my wife did.
Yep.
So we're both.
He was like April.
Right. We're both in the grieving process. So I'm kind of like, when you're grieving, sometimes if you reach out and help somebody else when they're grieving, it helps you a little bit,
Right.
to do that. So I've been helping her with the grieving process. All of her friends have, she's going
Oh
through,
yeah.
her mind is racked and she's going through a lot of,
And it's under.
stuff. And we're
Yeah.
both going through it. So, we just try to support each other
Right.
like that,
And and that's the truth. You have to have support. I used to drink a lot. I got sober about 11 years ago. And if I didn't have people to talk to that go through the same thing, and there's people that reach out to me that have since quit drinking, and they
Yeah.
reach out to me and go, "Hey, man," and I help them. By helping them, it helps me a little bit. By them helping me, it helps. And we're all here for each other. You find your
Yeah.
community, and you gotta be a good human and help people.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, that's what
that's
it's
what
all
it's all
about. Your success is measured by how much value you bring to someone else's life. And and
exactly.
and I always say that I figured it out. What the mission in life is if you can make a positive difference in the life of somebody else, you've done your job.
Done your
You know,
job.
and you can take that with you when it's your time to go.
Right,
You know,
exactly. I do. I joke that when I do go, there ain't nobody going to be at the funeral. But you know what? You try to, gauge. Hopefully I get 100 people there. Hopefully I touched people. And that's where you're ultimately gauged at. You
yeah.
have music, and you speak. Your music speaks to people.
And
But
and right now, you're bringing value into my life by having me on your show. You know,
exactly.
you and all the other podcasters, people who are still interested in what I've done or what I'm doing. I'm in Missouri now. I was like, I'm a stranger in a strange land. I'm like on a planet in another universe. So to be
Right.
able to connect with somebody through the industry like this, and lets me know that somebody still cares or they're still interested. So
Oh, there's
so that brings
plenty.
value to my life. So I thank you for that.
Hey, not a problem. I mean, you've brought value to my life since that first Steeler album. Since this album is one of my very first albums that I had.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
mean, Judas Priest Point of Entry was the first, but then Steeler came not too long after that, maybe a couple of years, and it was like Ron Keel, Rik Fox, this handsome devil right there. Look at that. Look at that sexy beast right there. Oh my goodness. Oh,
You
help me.
know, I was I came to California. Before I came to California, I had that hairstyle that I copied.
Yeah,
I wear my influences on my sleeve. I don't hide them.
right.
I'll admit it. I copied Punky Meadows from Angel.
Exactly. It's not a bad
Okay,
hairstyle to copy, dude.
and yet when I got to LA, we didn't have internet, we didn't have social media. It was all
Right?
word of mouth. And then people look at me like, "Where are you from?" And I open my mouth and I get hear New York accent. And like that. And I don't know. It's like a bittersweet thing. It's love and hate. People like the hairstyle, but then they're like, you know what? You look too freaking perfect.
Right.
If your hair is that perfect, you can't be a serious musician because you spend too much time on your looks.
Right.
So
But that
all the
was all before that was preceding. That was 83, 82 when you came out.
yeah.
Right. And it's like you were a little ahead of the time. And then bam, what
Well,
hits?
on the one
Perfect
hand,
hair.
on the one hand, I had all these guys in the bands in LA hating me because my hairstyle, but they would go to my hair cutter, Hurley Ree out in Pasadena, and they point to he said they point to your picture on the wall and say, cut my hair like this guy. So
Right.
everybody wanted to get their hair cut like mine. So that's kind of, so it worked against me on one side, but then it worked for me on the other,
Right.
because when I put the ad in Music Connection magazine, Ron Keel contacted me, and there was my doorway into meeting Ron and getting the gig with Steeler. So it worked
Right.
because he wanted guys that, how he said it, when Steeler came to LA, Ron goes, I can't compete with this. You got
Right.
Motley Crue, you got Rat, you got Black and Blue. He goes, my guys don't look like that. They don't move like that on stage. They were great musicians, make no mistake.
Right.
Mike Dunnigan was a great guitar player. Tim Morrissey's a great bass player. Bobby was a good drummer. And Ron was like the superstar. He was like the rock star out front.
Right.
But there was that kind of weird, strange balance that Ron was projecting, but nobody else could match that. So Ron says, I need guys in the band that look like rock stars.
Exactly.
And that's I got the gig for looking like a rock star.
Hey, hey, it doesn't matter how you get it, you got it.
But
And
it's Steeler music. If I
right,
went in there and tried to play my 70s root stuff, it wouldn't fit with what the songs were asking for. The songs were asking for simple, straight ahead bass.
just rock.
You heard, you
Yep.
heard what's on the album. So,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
straightforward rock, like Rose Tattoo, and that era of music was just straightforward.
yeah,
Angel, the straightforward rock, no frills, no bullshit. Just
yeah. I mean,
give it to me.
I jam a lot to the Steelers songs now, and I'm a better player. So I'm hearing windows where I can go in there and play a little bit of something a little melodic, a little
Right,
walk here and there. That's what I do.
right.
I play walking bass lines, and some of my bass idols were the reason I became a bass player was Nick St. Nicholas from Steppenwolf.
Oh wow,
I saw Steppenwolf on TV
nice.
in 1968, and he's got a fringe buckskin jacket and a leather
Yep,
pants, and he's got the headband, and he's just kind of like
yep.
playing. I went, that's it. That's what I want to be. I want to be a bass
That's
player.
what I want to be.
And
Yep.
then there's guys like Gary Thane from Uriah Heep and
You're right, Heap.
Greg Ridley from Humble Pie.
Yep.
I grew up 70s, so these were the bass players that I grew up absorbing through osmosis. But if I try to play that in a heavy metal situation like Steeler, there's no room for it.
Right.
When I got into when Blackie invited me to LA to audition for Sister, and when you audition, usually it's within the same drivable distance. This was an audition that went across the country. That was a leap of faith
Right.
on both of our ends.
Oh
But
yeah.
but when I was playing the Wasp songs, he's asking me, "Can you play simpler? Can you play?" I said, "Blackie, it's 3 chords. How much simpler you want it?"
How much simpler.
And the only thing the only song I got away with in playing a walking bass line was School Days on the original
Oh yeah.
version.
Right.
And I was subconsciously channeling Dennis Dunaway from Alice Cooper and Gene Simmons from Kiss, because what I was playing turned out to be a part of Muscle of Love, and what was it was Love Gun. The
Right.
bass lines, it's a combination of Muscle of Love and Love Gun
Oh wow.
in School Days.
Now I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
Well, it's
It's
only, I
probably
think it's on YouTube.
right.
Yeah.
The
There
demo
was
version.
one of my fans got a copy of the original Wasp demo and uploaded all of the songs that I recorded on, and so they're all on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'll definitely check that one out because anything. I love demos. I love hearing them. Like guys send me demos. Hey man, how's this sounding? And they get feedback. You know how it goes. And some of them, they polish them up way too much. And it's like, would you just go back to what you laid down right off the rip? That raw version is so good. It's like, man, they get rid of certain bass lines that kind of try to simple it up. It's like, dude, don't do that, And then you get some songs that go over the top too much. The guy just, like a Yngwie Malmsteen just destroys the guitar on it. It's like, dude, you can settle down a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I love the demos and how they sound, the rawness.
Yeah. What was really keen was keen. That's an old word.
That's a cool word, though.
I'm showing my roots.
There you go.
When there's a guy out of Buffalo, New York called Jim Crane. He's the voice of Vinny and Carmine Appice, the Drum
Okay.
Wars.
Yep.
But he has a hair band, 80s tribute band, but he also puts out albums where he has all these A-list rock stars playing either covers or originals. And he contacted me. I didn't know who he was. He contacts me and he says, "Hey, I know you were in Steeler," and I was thinking, he goes, "I wonder what Rik Fox is doing." And I said, I see you got all these big rock stars, Tony Franklin and Rudy Sarzo, Carmine, Vinny, what's his face from White Lion, Michael Tramp. He's got all these Jimmy Bain. He's got all these big stars. I said, "What are you contacting me for?" I said, "I'm not on that level." I said, "What'd you do? Run out of guys? Big guys?"
A lot of people said no.
I was joking, of course. I said,
Right.
"You're scraping the bottom of the barrel for Rik Fox? What?" You
Well,
know?
you were on like Hearing Aid back
Yeah,
in the 80s. You were on that.
yeah.
You were part of that one. There was another one you were part of. But yeah, you've been you
Well,
know
but the point is,
involved in some stuff.
yeah, we talked for a while, and he came. He says, "I have some songs I'd like you to be on if you would play on my album." And I said, "Sure." Send me the. He sent me a CD of rough tracks, demos, of the stuff, so I could write my bass lines. And it was just a great, strange time in my life because on the internet with the social media crap that I was going through, people were trying to break me down.
Right.
And here's the ironic twist: the song that he put me on, which was the single for the album, was called "Broken,"
Oh
and
wow.
it's about a guy who's broken. So
Wow.
he goes, "This is perfect, perfect for." And I sat. I had a few months to work with the song, and he's Vinny Appice, he's on drums, like that, and
Nice.
Robbie Lochner from Jack Russell's Great
Oh
White,
nice.
and Rob Halford, he plays
Oh
guitar on it.
wow.
Steph Hahn, who played with Paul Diano, he's on it. And the bass line I wrote, I finally had a chance to just really play whatever came through me. And I get it. I have this weird subconscious channeling thing. When I hear an ascending line, I start thinking automatically, what's the counterpoint, the descending line?
Okay.
And if I hear the descending line, I think, what's the ascending line? And that's what I wound up doing in the song because there's ascending and descending patterns, and I play it opposite, across them. So as they're
Huh.
climbing, I'm going down, and as they're going down, I'm climbing up, and I'm alternating it. You see,
Hmm.
and it was like weird. I must have channeled, and I say this with all the biggest respect in the world. Bob Daisley is another one of my
Hmm.
my people I look up to,
Oh
and
yeah.
I listened back to the bass line and Broken, and the hair standing up on my arms. It reminds me of something Bob would play.
Nice.
So it's
Right.
like I channeled my inner Bob Daisley, I guess, to for lack of a better description, and I sent a copy to Billy Sheehan,
Hmm.
because Billy's a friend of mine, and Greg Chason from Badlands, because we're bass
Right.
players, we all talked all
Oh
the time.
yeah.
I said, give me your honest critique. How did I do? I mean, I'm kind of insecure like that, because
Right.
I've been beaten by this industry so often,
Oh my
and
God.
they
Yeah.
said, you know what, you played some really interesting, pretty good bass lines in there. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For coming from people who are better than my peers, people that I respect, and
Right.
so that was really nice. So Jim Crane put me on Broken, and then he had two other songs. Steph asked me, he goes, "Are you going to be on the song with Chris Holmes?" I said, "Chris is going to be on this." He goes, "Yeah."
Whoa.
So I contacted Jim and I said, "Well, you've had Chris from Wasp and me from Wasp, although a lot of people in Blackie won't admit that. But
Well,
if
we know
maybe you
this.
could put us on a together on a song, two Wasp guys." He goes, "All right, let me try that." And then he sent me a third song, which was a cover of an Angel song. And me, the
Nice.
biggest Angel fan in the world,
Right.
it was from the Sinful album, Don't Take Your Love.
Nice.
And Frank Domino sang a duet with Jim on that. So that's the
Wow.
closest I got to actually being in Angel, because
Wow.
and Vinny Appice's on drums on that as well. The one that Chris Holmes didn't. There was something where Jim took it back, and they had to redo it or something. And I think he put Mitch Perry on it because I got Mitch
Okay.
involved like that. And Jim was asking me, if you know any other rock stars, see if they'd like to play on the album. So I reached out to whoever else I could kind of, JJ French, Richie Rano from Stars,
Wow.
whoever I could think of. I said, this guy wants to know if he'd like to play on his album. And they said, well, who is he? I never heard of him. I said, I didn't either. But when he sent me the material, I sent him a link. I said, here's some of his stuff. And he said, oh, it's really cool. But, they were all busy. So,
Right.
but
And that happens.
yeah. And Jim said, once you come, you're playing with Vinny Appice and these people on my album, a lot of this negative, yeah, he's going to stop. I said, well, maybe, but not in Los Angeles because they don't care.
Right. They don't give a shit.
So I mean, nice.
California is its own little world over there.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to have on my resume,
Right.
you know. And
Hey,
and
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 you got a hell of a resume.
Rudy Sarzo played on a song right before or right after me on the album, so he's on it as well. So it's nice
Sarzo's
to be in that kind of.
fantastic.
It's nice to be in that company. Like that.
Absolutely.
So
And you deserve to be in that company, man. You know, most people know Wasp, Steeler, Sin. You
Sin.
know,
Yeah.
Sin. You know, and you know, you didn't just drop off the face of the earth after Sin. You've been very busy, just
Right.
like most musicians. You've been very busy. You've had, what I
Yeah.
think, 10 different projects at least, and it's you know most people think after the last album that they know, okay, Sin, he was done, he disappeared. And people don't do that. These musicians, if you dig a little deeper and go into their, you know, most of the time you go into their Wikipedias
Yeah.
and you'll find a shit ton that they've done. And you've been very busy as well, which is
I
happening.
I did stuff that was out of town that people didn't know about. You
Right.
know, when Sin folded, we were like, we're the next band right there on the doorway
I
to get
know,
signed,
right?
major deal, and it just the whole thing collapsed on me. So I was friends with the guys in Burn, which was
Mm-hmm.
Burn was formerly Hellion.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so and Burn and Sin were both produced by Dana Strum.
Yep.
So I just happened to have with some friends who were on our way to Magic Mountain to see Striper, and it was pouring rain. And they said, "Well, we're going to stop over at the rehearsal studio that the Burn was at. They wanted to go see the guys in Burn for a few minutes, and they were auditioning bass players. So this is like 1986. And so we walk in, and they're auditioning bass players and stuff. And they said, "Well, we need to talk amongst ourselves. Can you guys kind of leave the room?" So we went to leave the room, and they said, "Rick, can you wait a second?" So I said, "All right." And they shut the door, and they said, "Listen, we heard what happened with Sin, and we're kind of in the family, producer wise. Would you be
Right.
interested in trying out for Burn?" I said, "Sure." They give me a
Sure.
copy. Give me your demo tape. It was 5 songs. And I'm thinking, well, I really shouldn't have to audition. I mean, I'm not like walking around with my thumbs in my suspenders going, I'm Rik Fox. So I don't
Right.
audition. But it was a kind of a process. So I,
Yeah.
I learned the songs. I went back. I auditioned with them. And it was at Mates Rehearsal Studio, North Hollywood. Everybody rehearsed there.
Mm.
And it felt really good. We were kind of like we had the big room, the big stage, the showcase stage, and we were kind of like moving with each other and getting close and proximity and stuff and feeling the music. And they told me actually you came in second.
Wow.
They said that we left the decision up to Sean, the drummer, because bass player, drummer, rhythm section.
There,
And he
I
liked
agree with
working.
that.
He liked working with the other guy, but he really loved you too. He goes, "You're a really funny guy. Sean loves your jokes. You're always cracking jokes." So I said, "All right, well, fine. Thanks anyway." And then a few days later, they called me back and they said, "Listen, we need you to reconsider." I said, "Well, what
Oh,
happened?
you know what? Really?
What happened?" They said, "Well, it turns out the guy that auditioned for us doesn't own a bass. He has
Oh my
no
god.
transportation, no amps. No, he borrowed a bass to audition." Like that. So we had to, make another decision, and we would really like to have you if you come join the band. I said, you know what? Let me think about it. I,
It's like
I
it's
did that.
like if a girl, she's making a choice between you and another dude, and okay, she picks the other dude. A day later, she comes back to you and says, can you reconsider? This guy's got a little dick. I really can't hang out with. And he does
What an
nothing for me.
analogy. What?
Right? And it's like, really, you're gonna come back to? Oh,
All right. So
but
again, it took a few days. They called me a couple of times. Rick, so have you made up your mind yet? Have you made up your mind yet? And I said, I said, all right, all right. So I
might
joined
as
Burn.
well.
I joined Burn, and they were managed under Niji, which
Yep.
was Ronnie Dio's management.
Yep.
So while Wendy was managing Rough Cut, a guy named Kurt Lorraine was managing Burn under the Niji banner, like that. And then Ronnie loved the band because Richard Perico, the singer, sang. He sounded like Ronnie,
Mm,
so Ronnie automatically liked him. And
right.
then, we rehearsed for, a couple of months. And then a friend of mine was the tour manager for Loudness. They were just did the Lightning Strikes album. The tour was coming to
Mm,
America. He says, "Listen, I got a couple of laminates for you, tour laminates. If you want to come see us anywhere in the United States, And I said, all right, fine. And they had Cinderella and Poison flip flop over opening and middle slot. So I saw them in L.A. I went to Phoenix, and I was hanging out with them in Phoenix. I saw them in Bakersfield. I saw them in Phoenix. And while I'm in Phoenix, I meet this guy who's a local promoter, and he introduces me to this guitar player, local guy there in Phoenix named Jim Keeler. Well, Jim Keeler is the leader of a band called Surgical Steel. See?
Yes.
So there's this tie-in. So I met Jimmy. I said, hi. It was 5 minutes. Hi, how you doing? Well, you played in Steeler, right? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, it's pretty cool. Nice meeting you. And by the time I got back to L.A., I was literally walking in the door and my phone was ringing. I picked it up, and it was this guy, Brad, that I met, this promoter, Brad Laughlin. Wow. He says, you got to drop everything. You got to come back to Phoenix. He goes, Jimmy wants you in the band. He wants you in the band. They're going to be doing an album, blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't even know who Surgical Steel is.
Right.
And I made some phone calls, and I said, who is Surgical Steel? They said they were in a movie, something Alley, Thunder Alley.
Thunder Alley, yes.
And I saw that, and Jim Martin's doing the singer, he's doing his Robert Halford stomped across the stage, and they sounded like they said, if you like Judas Priest, you'll like Surgical Steel. I said, I can live with that. So I said, all right, well, have them set it up and fly me to Phoenix. So I flew to Phoenix. And I get to Jim Keeler's house, and I said, all right, well, when do I audition? Now, Jimmy calls everybody Chief. Like, in L.A., we call everybody, hey, dude.
Hey, dude.
Well, Jimmy is Chief. So he goes, Chief, there's no audition. You're in the band. I said, nice. You don't want me to? He goes, no, I heard the Steeler album. I know you can play. Here's the tape. Learn the songs. We're recording an album next week.
Damn.
Wow. Okay. So I start woodshedding at his house, and he brings in this drummer, and we're rehearsing in the garage, and I'm having problems clicking with this guy. And I said, Jimmy, can you come out here and let's listen to us? He goes, what's the matter? And I said, I think I want you to listen, and you tell me what you hear. And we're playing to the songs, and we went through a couple of the songs, and it was just some difficulty with the drummer. He wasn't quite nailing it. Nice guy. I found out later, he had an alcohol problem. So that was somehow affecting his playing. Jimmy goes, so Jimmy and I talked later. He goes, I hear what you're saying. He goes, yeah, we're going to have to scramble and do something else. So in the studio, he brought his old drummer up. He fired the entire Surgical Steel lineup. And it was going to be a whole new band. He got Derek Kendall came in on vocals. And in the studio, we had his previous drummer. And then he brought Mick Brown in from Dokken.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and Mick and George show up at the studio. Dan Wexler from Icon was producing us.
Oh, Icon. Oh, yeah. That's a band that is oh, my God.
George is sitting in the lobby at the table chopping up lines. and my stomach is churning just looking at it going, oh, it's just making me sick. Right. We go in the studio. Mick learned a song that I brought in like that. He learned it on a dime, and we recorded. And I got to tell you, the experience of recording with Mick Brown.
Oh my God!
Is like gear wheels,
right?
Like this, it's like we've always been playing together, and we fucking nailed the song. Excuse me. And we walk out of the studio, and Mick goes, "I don't know where these rumors come from about you can't play." He goes, "You're just as good as Jeff Pilson."
Right, Pilson.
So wow, there's another one. Thank you.
Right.
Like that,
And Pilson's a hell of a bassist. I mean,
he is.
Oh my God.
And then so we recorded as much as we could, and then we found out that their financial backing dropped. So we never got to finish the album completely.
Man.
So Jimmy's like, well, now we got to play gigs to pay for some of the studio bills. Right. I said, I didn't come out here for that. I came out here to record an album with you guys.
Record an album.
Yeah. So we did a bunch of shows. We supported Lita Ford on 1987 New Year's Eve at Rockers, and Jimmy had a drum riser built out of welded aircraft aluminum. Had stairs on it. I got a picture of this, and in the steps, because Jimmy and I both played Randall amps. I was a Randall in Dorsey. He was playing Randall. I called up my rep, Bill Acton, over at Randall, and I said, "We got a show. We're supporting Lita Ford. Can you get us some more cabinets? We want to get a big back line." He goes, "All right." And I had like maybe 9 base cabinets, 12
Jeez.
feet high, 12 feet across. Jimmy had
Bigger, better.
Jimmy had 6 or 7 stacks of Randalls, double heads, and the steps in the drum riser were all dummy Randall heads that lit up like they were live.
Oh,
So,
nice.
so yeah, massive. So
Wow.
we're sound checking. Lito comes walking in behind me. She's standing in the doorway, going,
This is great.
She goes, "We don't have this kind of gear." She says, "Oh my, this is like the support band has more gear than the headliner."
Right.
You know, and
Hey.
she goes, uh, "Can we use your backline?" Oh, you want to negotiate? Okay.
No.
Now, I knew already. Lita already knew me. I met Lita in '75 when the Runaways played CBGBs.
Oh, wow.
So I met her and
Yeah.
Jackie Fox there. You know, and there's lots of dots that interconnect here.
Oh, easy.
When I was out of WASP, I was living on Clark Street at the famous building where Motley Crue lived, the apartment building, and they were all gone, but Nikki was still living there. And so the girl I was living with a bunch of escort girls in the next apartment. I was like I was the houseboy.
Not a bad deal.
I was taking care of the apartment. I clean, vacuum.
There you go. Sugar mamas.
I didn't just do a couch tour and slouch. The girls felt bad because of what happened with Wasp, and they said, "All right, come stay at our apartment." It was a huge 2-bedroom apartment. Stay here until you get on your feet. I said, "All right, thank you." So the girl sends me next door to ask Nikki for something. Nikki hadn't paid his electric bill, so there was an extension cord running out of her apartment around the back deck and into Nikki's apartment, so he had some electricity.
That makes total sense.
So I go to knock on the door, and just like the story, there was no lock on the door from being kicked in so many times.
I figured that.
Here, Savannah. So I knock on the door. He goes, "Yeah." I said, "It's Rick." There from next, he goes, "Come on in, dude." So I go in. I open the door. And he had 2 red leather love seats pushed together like a pit couch.
Right.
And he was sleep down in that pit area. And he climbs out. He goes, "What's up?" And I said, "Well, Roxy next door asked me to blah, 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 whatever it was. I don't know." And I see something move in that pit couch area, the blanket move. And I see like this blonde hair sticking out of the top of a blanket. And then the blanket comes down like that. And I see the eyes.
Oh,
and I know those eyes.
Right.
I'm an eye guy. I know those eyes. Right. And it starts to come out. I went, "Lita?" It's Lita Ford. Lita Ford. And Nikki and Lita were seeing each other at that point. Now, everybody knew that. And she goes, "Dude, you look familiar." And I said, "Yeah, we met at CBGB's when you were there with the Runaways." She goes, "Oh my God, that's you."
That was me with the big backline, baby.
Yeah, like that. And so she gets up and we get. So let's go out to breakfast. Well, Nikki's broke. I'm broke. She goes, I got it. And Lita Ford,
guys, you're broke.
Lita Ford took me and Nikki 6 out for breakfast. How cool is that?
That's cool as fuck. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
So years later, now with Surgical Steel, she walks in and she looked at me. She goes, "I know you." I said, "You damn right you do." And also one of Jimmy Keeler's friends owned a tour bus, so we didn't have to use the house dressing room. We used the tour bus to get ready on. So Lita's manager goes, "Well, can she use your tour bus to get ready too?" So all right. So now Lita's
supposed to be the headliner.
Yeah, and they're using our back line. I can't make this stuff up.
She needs to fire a manager.
And she wants to use the tour bus to get ready. So we did our show. She dug us. She goes, "Rick, where did you get your costume from? Is that a Ray Brown costume?" Now Ray Brown was the costumer to the Stars. We did Dokken, Judas Priest. All the big bands, and in the 80s. And I said, "No, it's mine. I designed it." And I built half of it by hand. She goes, "Dude, what is it you can't do?" She goes, "You play, you look good. You've got great costumes. You look like you should be out touring." I said, "I should be out touring. That's the point."
That's the point.
So the manager the manager says, "Well, Lita has to get ready. Everybody off the bus." So now we're getting kicked off our own bus.
Oh,
And Lita
because
goes,
Lita has to be on it all by
yeah,
herself.
yeah. And Lita goes, no, Rick can stay. Rick's cool.
Sweet.
And Jim Keeler turns around and goes, how do you rate? How do you, I said, we're friends.
I'm the fucking bass player, baby.
We're just friends,
Right.
like that. So there's all these cool little stories.
Oh yeah, and you get them. That's why I love talking to musicians. I mean, you get
Yeah,
these cool little stories of their life. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we know this. We know the albums. We don't, some of these stories, even though it's 30, 40 years past,
yeah,
they still don't. Some of them get forgotten about. And it's like
yeah.
it's nice to hear them again.
And while this was all ongoing, Ricky Rackman's Cat House was in full explosion,
Full bloom.
and nobody in LA knew what I was doing in Phoenix. I felt like I was actually accomplishing something. I come
Right.
back to LA. It's like, so what have you been doing? And I try to explain to them what I've
Obviously
been doing.
nothing.
And it would have been
Right.
great if that Surgical Steel album would have came out. Here's another weird Twilight Zone thing. I was in Steeler with a guy named Ron Keel,
Yes, you were.
and I was in Surgical Steel with a
With
guy named Jim
Keeler.
Keeler.
Right?
Well, how does that work?
I mean, Steel, Keel, Keeler. I
Steeler.
mean, Steeler. I mean,
You can't make this stuff up.
you can't make this stuff up. It's kind of cool though.
And then I was on the Steeler out. I was on the Steeler album. If the Surgical Steel album would have been released, so I would have Steeler and Surgical Steel, like that.
So that never got released, did it?
Well, it's funny you should say that. Not officially, no.
Right.
We Derek Kendall found an ad the other day or something. It was a T-shirt with Surgical Steel with our picture on it, and he was laughing. I said, "Wow, where did that come from?" From the photo session we did. It's us on a shirt, and somebody posted under that a bunch of songs that were from the Surgical Steel album, but they were listed as a band called Notorious. And I said that song "Call Me." I said, "That's not them. That's us." Derek says, "Yeah, that's us. That's Surgical Steel." So I got at least one song from the album, but it's the wrong band.
It's Notorious.
It's on YouTube, and it's a song.
I'm gonna look for it.
It's a song called "Call Me." I have the link. It's a great song. I said this song could have been you. Back then, you had Pacific Bell, you had AT&T. I said this song would be perfect in a TV commercial because all the lyrics would match up perfectly in the background to a commercial about people calling each other.
Right.
That's what it's about. Call me, any time of night, any time of day, pick up the phone and dial away. It's perfect.
Perfect.
And then so the album never was released. Derek said he's still looking into finding out what the end result is, what it's going to be with this. Jim Keeler, unfortunately, went on the wrong side of law, and I guess he's incarcerated. So
yeah,
I don't know what's up with him. I haven't heard from him in years.
Right. I think I remember seeing I remember back in the day, or sometimes seeing the logo for Surgical Steel. I remember seeing that.
Well, there were several.
Yeah,
one of them looked like a blade. Another one,
yes.
The main one they used. You know what the caduceus of Hermes is?
Mm-mm.
The medical symbol. The two
snakes. Yeah. Okay,
yeah. So it was a symbol with something. I forgot what was in the middle, and it had the two snakes or snake coming up like that around it, and it's Surgical Steel. It was SS or whatever. It was polished to look like it was shiny.
Oh yeah,
like that. So. But nobody in LA knew what I was doing. They didn't know about Surgical Steel.
They were too busy with the Cat House, and LA had its own thing going on. I mean, it was like a island of music there. Bam! Unless you came out to LA and did a show at the Roxy or the Troubadour or Whiskey Go Go, if you didn't come out there, they didn't know about you.
Yeah. So by '88, I put another band together called Thunderball. And I was a big fan of James Bond. One of the first when my dad took me to see Thunderball when it came out in the theaters. So I always remembered I loved that James Bond film. And Thunder, I was going to call it Sin again, but I wanted something that sounded big and the word thunder out there, Thunderball. It's just, okay, so what's we can do with this? And I got the booking agents at the Troubadour called me up and they said there's a guitar player in town from Detroit, and he's trying to get in touch with you. So we didn't want to give out your phone number. So I said, give me his information. He said he knew that you played with Steeler and you were friends with the guys in Guns N' Roses. He's looking for a gig. So in my heart, I've always loved guitar players from Detroit. MC5, Grand Funk Railroad. Michigan put out some awesome guitar players.
Yeah.
And he had the look.
City Madman.
He had the chopped up hair on top with the long, on the side like that. New York style. Michigan, Detroit, and New York were very close in what they looked like from the rock scenes. So I got in touch with this guy, and he sent me a picture and a tape. He sounded like George Lynch meets Michael Schenker.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Damn.
I was like, come over to my apartment. Come on. He lived in Hollywood. He came over. We met. We got along just like that right off the bat. And we started putting a band together. We started writing songs. And I took some of his songs and I rewrote new lyrics for them. We kind of tweaked the arrangements a little bit. And then I was friends with there was a woman who was a booking agent, did all the heavy metal nights at the country club, named Lucy Forbes. And she had a clearinghouse for musicians, like to hook up musicians with each other, like a classifieds thing. So we went to see her. I said, we're looking for a drummer. And one of the first people we met was James Kotak.
Oh, wow.
When he just came into LA.
Wow.
He played with Buster Brown. He played with Montrose. He's a great player. He filled out an artist profile, which I still have in my files. Nice. And while we were chatting, I said, we're talking about heavy metal in the early days in Brooklyn. I said, when I was in high school, there was a band that Eddie Kramer produced before Kiss. It was called Sir Lord Baltimore. And they had the album. When I was in high school in Brooklyn, all my upper class guys, the juniors and seniors, knew these guys because it was the only heavy metal band from Brooklyn. Nice. And the album had a pirate ship, looked like a old classic pirate ship on it, and it was all made of glass bones. You could see through it. And right on the bow, in little letters, it said "Kingdom Come."
Oh wow!
And that was one of the songs on the album. Was "Kingdom Come."
Wow!
I told James about this. Next thing you know, he's got a gig with a band called what? Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come.
He hooked up with Lenny Wolf.
Right.
Coincidence? I don't know.
Wow.
So
it's
anyway.
one of them little things that he thought, he's like, man, that is fucking cool.
Yeah. So we got a drummer from the Maryland area, this guy Cecil Freeman, who's really good. And then for singers, we're looking for singers. And Lucy found us a guy from a Christian band, a metal band out of Kentucky called Bride. Dale Thompson.
Right.
The guy's phenomenal voice. He wanted to try something different. So he came to Hollywood. They all stayed at I got Joey on guitar in my apartment. I got Cecil stayed in my apartment. I got Dale sleeping on my couch and Cecil out on the couch. I got the whole band living at my house. It's like the Beatles.
It's no longer the Steeler Mansion. Now it's the
Thunder Ballroom. It's
the Thunder Ballroom.
That's what we call it, Thunder Ballroom.
Nice.
So and I introduced the guys to the Cat House scene, and they took to it like water.
Do you think?
Yeah, like that. And so we got down to business, and a lot of times they would go out partying, and I would stay in my apartment, and I'm either working on costumings for us or writing songs. But there's a cut that I wrote that's on YouTube called Gypsy Brandy, which I was heavily influenced by Whitesnake's "Still of the Night."
Oh, geez.
I said we before we had a title, we called it the Whitesnake song because we didn't know what to call it. But a lot of it feels like it could be. I was asking Dale to try and sing a little bit like Coverdale. Dale's more of a Iron Maiden type singer, Bruce Dickinson-ish. So I was trying to get him to get a little more whiskey in his voice, a little more husky.
Marlboros,
yeah, like that. But he did a good job, and like that, and so that's on YouTube, like that. But like the guys are out, so I'm sitting home and I'm like writing 95% of the song, and then I got to take it to Joey, and Joey would interpret what I was asking for him out of he nailed it perfectly, nailed it. I couldn't ask for a better guitar playing and that song from anybody. And it just makes your hair stand up on your arms.
Right.
He bends those strings. He's making the guitar sing and cry, and we got a little flavor of. There's a little bit of Dio near the end of the song. There's a little bit of flavor of Guns N' Roses at the end of the song. As I said, the influences are there. And then Dale wound up going back to Kentucky, back to Bride, and we got a singer that I met from Phoenix while I was with Surgical Steel, Michael Corday, who was with Native Tongue and some other bands as well. Michael came in and took Dale's place. I've got this on video. I just haven't had a way to transfer it onto a DVD and put it up for sale to the fans. But a live performance of us playing at the Troubadour, we co-headlined with Randy Hansen. The Hendrix impersonator or impression guy. That's the way impersonator. Randy also happened to be the guitar player in Sam Kinnison's band. And our manager managed Randy Hansen.
Hey, and you were in the Sam Kinnison video too.
No, I wasn't in the video.
You weren't in the video?
No, that's all your A-list guys. All the A-list, Bon Jovi, Billy Idol, Slash. No. Those guys are in the video. So
wanna be A-list.
Manager Kenny Rubin calls me on a Sunday afternoon. He says, "You want to go jam with Sam Kinison?"
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to ask me. He said he's playing at the China Club tonight. Get over there now. Whatever you do. And I got a ride and went over to the China Club, and I saw Randy. And Randy said, "Yeah, everything's cool." He introduced me to Sam, and Sam and I, we kind of saw each other backstage at other shows, and we talked a little bit. So he kind of knew my face, but didn't know who I was. So he says, "All right, so you want to play the early show or the late show?" "All right, I'll play the late show." He goes, "All right, fine." So they did a show, and it was an intermission. So rolled downstairs in the bar in the green room, and then they went back upstairs to go play, and nobody said anything to me. And he's on stage playing, and everybody's like, "Rick, why aren't you up on stage?" I went, "That's right." So I go upstairs, and I got my bass on, and the bass tech was a friend of mine, knew me, and who's playing bass? Jimmy Bain in my place. So
wow.
He looks at me, and then he looks at Jimmy. He goes, "You're supposed to be up here right now." I said, "I know." He goes, "Wait a minute.
2 bass players, jump up."
As soon as the song ended and the lights went down, Sam was talking to the audience. He pulls Jimmy over to the edge of the stage, unplugs him. Jimmy was like 3 sheets to the wind. He was inebriated. He grabs Jimmy by both shoulders, boom, 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 down the stairs. Puts me up on stage, plugs me, and he goes, "Go." Wow. And in that space of time, as he pushed me onto the stage, he went, "Go." Sam happened to turn around, look at me, he goes, "Ready?" And I went, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, cool.
Let's do this."
And we launched into Wild Thing.
Nice.
So this is one of those pinch me moments.
Right.
Here's the lineup on the stage. Randy Hansen's all the way on stage right. You got Sam in the center. Randy Castillo on drums.
Oh, dude, one of my favorites.
Right? Randy knew me. We knew each other. He goes, "Hey," give me high five. Like Steven Van Zandt from Springsteen.
Jesus.
With the bandana on guitar. Wow. Jean Beauvoir from the producer from the Plasmatics. The African American guy with the blonde mohawk.
Right.
Drums along the mohawk.
Right.
He's on guitar. So you got 4 guitar players on stage.
Jesus.
And there was a keyboard player, Robin something. I don't remember his name. And I'm telling you, the cameras were going off like stars, rhinestones, cameras everywhere. I don't have one picture of us on stage.
Damn it.
I have a picture of me and Sam after the show, and he's got his arm around me, and he's got his hair, bandana tied on. I don't have one of the live shots, and there was a million cameras. But
so if anybody out there has a live shot of that show, send it, please.
I'm telling you.
Somebody's got one somewhere.
I couldn't believe and here's the kicker. On blues harp from the TV show Roseanne, John Goodman.
No way, dude.
And he talk about inebriated. This guy was 4 sheets to the wind.
4 sheets.
And he's playing blues harp on Wild Thing.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude,
That was
he
another
does do
that was another brush with greatness. That parallels my time when I had the privilege and the honor of performing next to Ronnie James Dio on stage twice.
Dude.
So we're backstage at Irvine
greatness.
Meadows. It was the I don't mean to monopolize all your time here, but
dude, it's your time.
Okay.
Okay.
It was the Sacred Heart tour.
Dude.
He still had the castle in the background. See, like that. Look just like that.
Yeah.
And the turrets, you know, with and all of the everything. And so we're kind of hanging out backstage. I was talking to somebody. Wendy Dio comes running over and grabs a whole bunch of. She grabs me by my elbow. She goes, "Come on." So where are we going? Just follow me. And she takes us around behind the scaffolding, and we come out on Jimmy Bain's side out of one of the turrets. And my friend Claude Schnell from Brooklyn, he was a keyboard player. He's up in the turret. Hey, Claude, like that, you know, and brought us out. And it's Jesus, everybody from Hollywood that was in a band was there. Nader, guys from London, Poison, Brett, and Ricky, Cece, guys from Witch. It was like a whole slew of us all out on stage. And it was the first time they were doing a live version of "We're Stars."
Oh wow!
That's
right.
From that they did the video. So this is the live version now. So we all got to sing. You know, we each got us. I was on Jimmy's mic, and we all sang. You know, "We're Stars" like that.
Right.
The next weekend, Rough Cut was playing the country club. Well, Wendy manages Rough Cut. Ronnie's in town. They go up to the VIP balcony. They grabbed all of us down there. We all came on stage, and I was like right next to Ronnie and his Vince Neil and Paul Shortino and Jeff LaBar, Carlos Cavazzo, all these
greatness.
Yeah, greatness. The stage was packed, and David Plastic, photographer to the Stars, captured, and I got a shot of me and Ronnie right next to a couple of shots of us right next to each other. And when we came to the chorus, you know, and I'm taller. Everybody was taller than Ronnie. You know, Ronnie's like this, like next to me. Right next to me. And Ronnie takes the mic and he comes to the chorus. He looks up at me and he goes, "Sing!" And he shoved this mic in my mouth, like in front of me. And we all, let out, "We're Stars." And so that was the second time in a week that I got to be on stage singing with Ronnie fucking James Dio.
Ronnie fucking James Dio.
You know,
the man.
So it's Dio, Sam Kennison. I got to jam with Mark St. John from Kiss on stage. So I those little moments, they happen, in between great voids of nothing.
Right. Like one of my great moments is going to be, a lot of voids of nothing, and sat down and talked with Rik Fox, and then it'll be a lot of voids of nothing. So, you get these little things.
So you stretch out you stretch out your 15 minutes of fame to as long as you can, like a piece of tape.
Right. You have to. I mean, you have to. Now,
it's like a thread.
Okay, you are the winged knight of heavy metal. Let everybody know where that came from.
Okay. Walk with me here.
I'm walking with you.
Okay. There's one.
There's one. Nice.
That's one. And
badass.
There's the other.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, that is cool.
This is my armor.
That is so cool.
And I guess there's the wings.
Yeah. Okay.
All the way up there. There's the wings. Now, what this is my Polish ancestry. When I was a teenager, my dad among his great many things he did, he was a model builder. He could build anything from scratch, and it would look like it came from a store. Okay, yeah. When Star Wars came out, and there was no model kits yet, just working from slides and photos, he built an exact replica of the X-Wing fighter
Oh, no shit.
From scratch, and it looked exactly like the one you saw in the film. That's how
Huh.
good my father was. The only difference between what he built and the actual model kit when it came out was that his was like maybe an inch shorter.
Huh.
So he was that good. Anyway,
Damn.
so he took a model of the Lone Ranger, who was up, Silver was rearing up the white horse, and he's up like this with the gun, and he worked from a picture from it was a recruitment poster from World War II of an old engraving of a winged hussar. And he took from that picture and he reconfigured the Lone Ranger model into this winged hussar on horseback. Again, he built the wings from scratch. He built the lance, all of the details, the leopard cape, everything. And I said, "What is that?" He goes, "That's your ancestry."
Hmm.
Because our name, my actual birth name is Sulagowski.
Yep.
Our coat of arms that you see up there, which is backwards from because the camera is
Right.
taking it back.
Exactly.
That's one of the most famous coats of arms in Poland.
No
Uh,
shit.
there was a famous, most famous knight in Poland in medieval times. His name was Zawisza Czarny, which means black Zawisza. He had black armor. He had long black hair and black mustache and black beard. Never wore a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like the knight that all other knights looked up to aspire to. He was chivalry.
Okay.
He was like the knight that was the reason for knighthood. Okay, so we share the same coat of arms.
Huh.
It's in herald. My dad was also a director of heraldry in the United States for his research and arts and sciences of heraldry. Heraldry it's a language all its own. You had to have a symbol on the shield, and then a herald would be able to read the symbol on the shield and tell you who that knight was. Because if they had helmets on, you couldn't see their face. See,
Right.
so knights had to be able to identify each other across the field. And where we get the military salute from, that comes back from the days when knights had a cover over their face. So they would lift the cover up so you could see their face, and you see this movement of moving the faceplate up became the salute. That's where the salute originates from.
Huh.
So
I
anyway, my
learn
dad.
something new every night, every day.
Yeah. So well, I'm full of tips and facts from Len's Almanac. That was
Tips
my
and
dad's
facts.
name. Yeah.
Nice.
So he said, "This is your ancestry," and our name goes back to like the 16th century, 15th century. And these were in the 17th century. It was like these were the badass cavalry of Central Europe. Okay, they were shock troops. It was like tanks before there were tanks. And you get
Right.
100, 150, 200, or in the case of the Battle of Vienna, 3,000 of them on horseback. And they didn't always use the wings. Their reputation preceded them, but sometimes they did. If you got several hundred or several thousand guys on horseback with this forest of wings,
Right.
it immediately looks double, triple, however many there are.
Right. Very intimidating.
That's exactly that. It was a shock and awe.
Right.
It goes back to earlier times when some of the knights from Serbia and Croatia came into Poland. People were superstitious, so they make themselves look like animals.
Right.
And some of
Right.
the Ottoman Turks and the Serbians, they would put feathers all over themselves or on their shields or on their horses. They'd look like mythical, fantastic creatures to
Mm-hmm.
scare the hell out of the other enemy was. And over time, the Polish king Stefan Batory did away with the shields. He renovated the army and made them wear plate armor instead of over the chainmail. And instead of having a shield, that's where they wore the plate armor. And they had lances that were like 18 feet long. So how do you hold a lance? It's 18 feet long.
Right.
What they do is it's like if you take a pencil and you split it in half and you open the two halves like that, and then you gouge out the center, then you glue it back together. Now it's hollow.
Right.
And then they use thread and they glue it so that it's this big hollow tube. and you've got a lance pennant on it, like 6, 8 feet long. So when you're charging into battle, that pennant is whipping around like a
Right.
like that. It makes a snapping, popping sound. So you combine that with the wings, and their shoulder, they would wear a pelt, like a leopard pelt or a
Mhm.
bear or tiger or whatever. The enemy's horses were like they couldn't handle what is this coming at me. And the whole, if you can spook the enemy's horses, they'll turn around. It's a rout. You just run them down. You see,
Hmm.
and their horses were not trained to accept all of this coming at them.
Right.
Okay, so it was, and they see the animal pelt going like this on their shoulder. They
And
don't know
they
what
think,
that is. They don't know what it is coming at them
right.
like that. So these guys, they were like said the badass shock troops of Poland for about 200 years. They were the lords of the battlefield. They were undefeatable until their enemies would figure out a way of, all right, they fight this way, they fight this way. I got to find a way around so they can't get me that way, like that. But
Right.
this was my ancestry, you see.
Hmm.
So uh, at around 2000, 1999 or 2000, several Polish museums got together and put together one exhibit that traveled the United States. It was only in 8 exclusive museums around the United States. My father was on the board with the Polish Nobility Association Foundation out of Baltimore, and he was on the press junket, and he says, "You've got to go see this. They have the armor on display."
Oh, wow.
And I was doing research. I was at this time, see, when you said earlier in our conversation, there was a time when Rik Fox took time out, and people were like, well, what did he do? He's not doing anything. Actually, I did.
Right.
I left the music business because I didn't want to go into 90s grunge.
No.
I just couldn't do that.
No.
So I
And a
started
lot of
working.
people did.
Yeah, I worked in the film industry, and I was at least drawing a paycheck
Right.
more than I was in rock. And while I was doing that, I got involved with Renaissance fairs. See, so
Nice.
again, tying back to the movies, I grew up watching all the swashbuckling, Errol Flynn, Tyrone Power, all the sword fighting, the dueling.
Right.
I seem to have an aptitude that came natural to sword fighting. So I was with several Renaissance groups when we did choreographed sword fighting and stage plays, things like that, scripted and all. And while I was doing that, I said to my father, what was going on in Poland at the time? Well, jokingly, we refer to the Renaissance fair as the Liz and Hank show because it's either Queen
Mhm.
Elizabeth or Henry VIII.
Right.
And it's the tourists love it. And people get to walk around and thee thou though and anon this and it was, and they speak in the language, but it's Spain, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, Western Europe. There
Right.
was no representation of Central Europe, and Poland was the biggest land empire of Europe at that time. But these Renaissance people are so wrapped up in their own personas, they don't know that. So my father reintroduced me to this. I said, he says, you got to see this museum exhibit. So I got in touch with the San Diego Museum of Art, which was the very last museum on its tour. And I talked to the curator there. And I said, I'm doing research. I need to find out how the wings are attached to the back armor. We can't find any information in English. And I didn't know how to navigate the internet in Polish.
Right.
At that point, my dad spoke Polish, but I didn't. I just knew a couple of words. So they said, well, it's photography prohibited because flash will ruin really old documents, things like that.
Right.
I said, oh, all right, well, thank you. And I called my dad in Brooklyn. I'm in LA. I said, they said I can't take pictures because they don't want flash and like that. And I don't know what happened, but the next day I got a call back from the curator from the museum. He says, Mr. Fox, you've been granted special dispensation. We will assign a docent to you and take you around. You can take pictures. You can do whatever it is you need for your research. Like,
Nice.
wow. Yeah. So I rented a car. I like 90 miles an hour from LA down to San Diego.
Nice.
And I get to the museum and I get in there and there's a docent. There was assigned to me. They said, where do you want to go? And I said, take me to where the armor is first. I want to see the knights. So we went through the back of the exhibit and we stood. I'm in one room. There's a huge archway, huge archway, and there's this gigantic room. And in the back, there's one of the captured tents from the Battle of Vienna they captured from the Turks. And there's paintings, gigantic paintings of the Polish commanders and the swords and weapons. And over here, and then there's suits of armor. But the curator had told me we don't have back plates. So the wings are not attached to the back plates. We just have mounting posts, and the wings are attached to the posts. He says, but you're still, able to take pictures, whatever you want. So I went in, I took pictures, front, back, side, this, that, and the other, and like that. And I used some life insurance money, and I commissioned a company out of the Czech Republic to make me my first set of Polish armor.
Wow.
And you would think they're that close to Poland, they would have it down right, and they didn't. They had some things they didn't have properly correct, but they got close with it. And that's that's what I just showed you.
Right.
But I had my first winged armor made, and I made my own wings because I didn't have a template, and it kind of looked a little bit like hockey sticks. They came up like that and kind of went at an angle instead of curving. They're supposed to curve like that. And I embellished them. I got brass, this, that, and the other, and rhinestone jewels. There's a place in downtown LA. I got the feathers, turkey feathers, and I painted them to look like eagle feathers because that's what the Poles used. And I yellow boots. Nobody makes yellow boots, but that's what the Hussars wore, yellow boots.
Wow.
So I found a boot maker. I got a pair of boots made in yellow with the heels just like theirs. There was no sources in the United States for this type of portrayal. I didn't have the red tunic that they wear under the armor. It's called a jupon. Nobody makes these. I had to go to a church supply house and get a priest's stole or cassock,
right,
and kind of embellish it a little bit so it looked like what they would wear, like that. I bought went to Tandy Leather, and I bought a huge box of rabbit pelts. And when on my downtime, I would sit there and I sewed all the pelts together to make a cape, what looked like a leopard. It was a striped, spotted rabbit pelts like that. And I got it looks like a leopard like that. I put a lining in it, and I did all of this on my living room floor.
Dude.
And I looked at it was one movie that came out that I saw called Ogniem Mieczem, which means with fire and sword. It's a famous one of the famous stories about this era of Poland. And I got a coffee table book that now gave me pictures. I could see up close what this stuff looked like, the costuming for the movies. I made my own fur hats. Actually, here's one.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Nice.
See, that's one. My other ones are over there. And I put together my first Polish persona in a Renaissance era look. And before I got the armor, I run around with the fur hat and the tunic and the boots, and everybody's and I started to grow the mustache in. That was the look of the swarthy gentleman in the 16th, 17th century before it got to the American West or America. They had the big handlebar mustaches like that, and so
right.
And I walked into the Renaissance fairs and I go, so who are you supposed to be, Vlad the Impaler?
Vlad the Impaler. Is that all anybody ever thinks of?
People are historically ignorant. They just know what they see in movies or on TV.
Vlad the Impaler.
And my passion got the better of me online, and I got into some of these Renaissance chat groups. And I would be like, they would say, "Why are you shouting? Why are you yelling? Why are you so angry?" I said, "Because." First of all, I'm new to your community. I'm frustrated because I don't see how people don't understand what this is. They've never seen it before. They don't know how to react to or respond to it. And one of my friends said, make a business card and get a website or something, a link where people can see what this looks like for real, and teach them.
Right.
Don't yell at them. Teach them. Yep. Educate them. Thank you. And that's what I did. I started to educate people about this. Right. And the only of all of the groups at Renaissance fairs, the only group that knew exactly what I was doing when they saw me approach them was the Scottish encampment. Because the Scots, before America was the land of opportunity, and everybody was colonizing to America. Poland was the country where all the Scots were going to.
Huh.
They were in the mercenary army. They were setting up shop there. They were within 3 generations they were considered indigenous, and they could hold titles. So Scotland was like the land of opportunity for them. Poland, from Scotland to go, Poland was the land of opportunity for the Scots. So I walk into my Scottish encampment, and they all going, "We're not worthy. We're not worthy." You know, like Wayne's World. They said, and the clan chief, he goes, "You do not come into my camp and leave hungry and thirsty." We know exactly who you're representing, and we respect that. The fact that we've never seen anybody do this, and you're the first one, you are welcome in any Scottish encampment anywhere.
That's awesome.
So that they've extended their generosity and hospitality to me, and they knew exactly what I was doing because they knew their history related to Poland.
Right.
So when I started first walking around, when I got the armor, and I'm walking around, everybody was like, remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Yes.
Okay. Remember when they get to the castle and they're talking to the French guys up on the top of the
right
wall, and they start to roll out the wooden rabbit,
right?
And the French knight goes, that look.
No, well,
that's what everybody at the Renaissance Fair was going. What is that? It shows they are so in touch with their own personas. They don't know about how Poland touched all of these other countries of Europe, especially England. There was a Polish court. Poland had their own audience with Queen Elizabeth in England. There was Polish diplomats there. These people didn't know that. I was teaching them about their own history.
Nice.
So, when they get sometimes you get wisecracks. They'd see me with the wings and the yellow boots. They go, "What are you supposed to be, the Hawkman from Flash Gordon?"
Oh my God. People ridicule what they don't understand.
Exactly.
And that's usually how it goes. That's why you got to educate them.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I started winning costume contests. It's like how do you stand up to a guy in winged armor? You can't beat that.
No.
You see? So I was getting all of these. I started getting notoriety and recognition for representing a part of European history that they had no idea about, but it educated them. Right. Okay. I wore my sandwich board, so to speak. and people were like, wow. So we went from, Renaissance fairs can be just like the music scene. Egos abound.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
You got guys who got egos that are so huge, and it's like their perception is they feel territorially threatened by this new persona who's taking attention away from them.
Right.
And that's the truth of it. And we started to peel back from Renaissance fair. We did Renaissance fairs because it gave us high visibility to the public.
Exactly.
Okay. And when we did a Renaissance fair in San Diego at the racetrack, that's a big Polish community in San Diego. And I went out and got a 20-foot by 10-foot carport with the aluminum tubing, and I got canvas, and I went to downtown LA and I found the closest fabric patterns I could find that looked like Ottoman Turkish patterns. And I recreated what I saw at the museum exhibit. Okay. So when to get back to what I was saying, when the guy took me and I stood in this doorway, and I'm looking at all of this stuff for the first time in real life, in real time. I swear to you, all the hairs on my body stood up. My scalp, my arms. It was like I wet my fingers and stuck them in a socket. I actually felt a current. I felt a current running through my body.
Wow.
And my eyes started to water up. And I use movies to kind of emphasize what I'm trying to say. Right. If you remember at the end of the first Planet of the Apes when Heston looks up and he sees the Statue of Liberty.
Oh yes.
And the first thing out of his mouth goes, "I'm home." That's what I heard in my head.
Wow.
I'm standing there like I'm electrified. My eyes are watering, and I heard in my head, "I'm home."
Wow.
And when I explain this to people, I'm standing up on my arms right now. I explained this to people. They said, what you had is called an epiphany.
Right.
And I didn't know what, I mean, I took, when you're in a Catholic parochial school, when you're a kid, you hear epiphany all the time. But I never really knew what it meant, and now I finally experienced it. And they said, that's exactly what I've been there before. This is not new to me. This is so familiar. I've done this before somewhere. The genetic DNA was they were firing on all 8 back here somewhere in my memory.
Right.
I said, when this exhibit leaves the United States, people are going to forget. I got to do something to make sure that they'll remember. And that's when I put together my own version of what I saw at this museum display. And so I built a tent, and I built a little yard, and I customized some horse tack, because their horses were elaborately embellished like that, and the armor and this and that, and it's San Diego. The people came up and they were like,
Yeah.
"This is like the museum exhibit we saw." Wow. And and I got a Polish flag waving up there and everything, and they said, "Thank you for representing us. We've never seen this done before." And so again, going back to the very beginning of our conversation of bringing value to people's lives,
Right.
and making that positive difference in their lives.
Right.
You're representing a culture that has been so overlooked and made fun of and ridiculed, despite all its important contributions to history. I made a difference in people's lives doing that.
Right.
And I don't realize it while I'm doing it. I realize it well after the fact. Wow, I guess I did something right. You see?
Right.
And what I wanted to do, I wanted to get a papal blessing from Pope John Paul II, because he was the Polish Pope.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, he passed away. The other thing I wanted to do was either be in a movie that represented this. And there was rumor going around the Hollywood mill that Mel Gibson was going to do a film about the Battle of Vienna called Victoria. And I sent him some ideas to his office and some pitches, and they said, "Thank you, but we don't accept unsolicited, offer things like this." So they sent it back, so like that. But eventually, there was a movie or two made about this, but it's over in in Europe. I don't know anybody over there. However, and when my wife and I moved to our ranch in Santa Clarita, California, we had a huge arena, 2.35 acres, whatever. And she introduced me to what would be my own horse, Achilles. I had a white thoroughbred, and he was my boy. He could lay on the ground and I could lay on him, and he wouldn't scramble to get up like horses do. We had a bond of trust. When you can lay on a horse when he's in a vulnerable position, that's trust.
That's trust.
And my wife taught me everything I learned about horsemanship like that. So that was a gift, like I said, from her. And she saw me progressing like this, and taught me how to ride better and like that. And I had to introduce him to all of these things that I was going to be wearing. I got contacted by a production company in Toronto, and I think it was 2011 or 2012. And they said, what they do is they go around various museums around the world, and they look at well, what's that? Tell us a story. Well, what's that? What is that? Well, what's that about? And they went to the museum in Moscow, the National Museum in Moscow, and there's some Polish armor with a wing like that. And they asked the lady, what was that about? And she said, Polish winged hussars. What's that? So they said, we got to do a segment on that. So they told me they looked when they got back to the North America, and I said they're out of Toronto. They said we scoped the whole internet, and reenactment groups were just starting to kind of follow my lead and represent, on the East Coast where Polish is more prevalent. They were doing their Polish reenactment groups, same theme. There was a guy who started making armor, and then they said, "You seem to be the go-to guy on this. Would you mind doing a segment with us?" And the show is called Museum Secrets. And I said, okay. So we negotiated a price, Generally, their segment takes a week to shoot. Well, they had to come down from Canada. They had to hire a local film crew on a skeleton budget, and we could only shoot it in one day. So we had to omit a lot of what we were going to talk about. They wanted to know if the wings make a noise, which there's romantic legends about the feathers making noise, and they want to know about the lance. Tell us about the lance. So, and they were dealing with what they call Russia's time of troubles, which is like 1610, 1612, when there was actually a Polish czar on the Russian throne. So history kind of changed itself, but for a very short time, there was a Polish, like an emperor on the throne of Moscow. So they wanted to know more about this. So they came down and we shot, at our ranch. And so they got some footage of me, with the lance. I built straw dummies, with cardboard pikes, and foam core spear tips. It looks like a real thing. And I charge, and you can see the lance go like right through, come right out the back of the straw dummy. Now, in reality, when the lance would strike the guy on the ground, it was like what? Have you ever seen bamboo shred?
Yes.
The lance would shatter, and it would impale the guy, and the lance would just splinter apart, and it would whatever was left of it could go into the guy's to his face or whatever, like wooden shrapnel, and the idea was to bust through the first line or two of the soldiers on the infantry and turn it and just run them down, and turn it into a rout, or if, in some cases they'd break their lances, they spin around, they'd come back to the resupply, get new lances, and they would charge successively in waves. So it was like they kept going until they wear the enemy down. So my lance is made of PVC. I don't have breakable lances. It's mostly for display. But so my lance didn't break. But you saw my lance come right through the back of and when it did that, and then I let go of it like that, because that's what they do. They just let go of it.
Let go.
And on their saddle, they had a whole cocktail of other weaponry: hammers, saws, swords, pistols. We couldn't go through all of this stuff. But they put a microphone on the back of my armor to see if the wings would make a noise, because there's legends, there's rumors that the feathers would vibrate and make a buzzing sound. Well, yes and no. It depends on the right conditions. If the feathers are new, it's like when wind goes through a Venetian blinds and they go
right,
like they say, or if you blow out a leaf, makes a little high pitched squeak.
Right.
Magnify that. It's the feathers make a buzzing sound, a rattling sound like that. And I have it on a video clip somewhere. You could. Again, it has to be the right condition. I rode back and forth. It was a windy day. Perfect. I rode back and forth and we took and we listened to it, and it was like we couldn't hear anything. So we had to put a pin in the balloon of that, of the romanticism about it. Because if they're charging across a battlefield and there's cannons and muskets and the cacophony of war, I've been in a battle reenactment in Poland where 40 hussars charged across a field. And I'm here to tell you, it's like being on a subway train.
Right.
It's like an earthquake. The ground shakes.
You're not going to hear feathers ruffle.
You're not going to hear feathers. The horses might hear it because their ears can pick that up. But us humans, we're not going to hear that. So
no.
So like that.
Wow.
And so that fight that was the premiere for season 3 on Museum Secrets. It's the show teaser is on YouTube. But that actual episode they haven't released on YouTube like other episodes. You can get it on Amazon Prime or Smithsonian Channel. They've seen it in Europe. They've seen it in Europe. What made it real important for me when we negotiated this, I said, number one, I don't want somebody to come along after the fact and ridicule anything about what I'm doing, because people ridicule Poland. They said, no, this is going to be straight up serious. No jokes, no cracks, no comments, anything like that. I said, all right. I'll do it on that. And the other thing is, it's the first presentation in the English language for English-speaking people to understand what this is about, because this is big in Poland because it happened there, and it's all in Polish. Most of the
Right.
books that come out on this subject are
Oh,
bipoles, four poles. It costs too much money for them to make translation books. You see,
right.
that was significant in that it was an English presentation to the mainstream English speaking audience, and so I was kind of proud about that.
Nice.
And they sent me a letter thanking me for what I did,
Oh,
helping them.
absolutely.
So, but that was something I brought to the table culturally to
That is
erase Polish historic awareness and culture.
absolutely. Like you said, educated, you gave something back. I mean, made a
And
difference.
there's really no way to encapsulate. I can't give you a Reader's Digest version of that story.
No, there's no
It's,
way. And
no,
I knew, believe me, I knew what was,
yeah,
and it was cool. It gives people a little bit more, um, you know, insight into who you are.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what these are all about. I mean, I'm not. You notice I'm not the type of guy who asks, "Who's your favorite musicians? Who's this?" The questions you've been asked a million times. I want to get to know more.
What
And
was it
like,
like to What was it like to play with Yngwie Malmsteen?
oh my God, I'm so sorry I forgot to ask that question. It was intimidating and yet frustrating, and the guy's
Well,
a dude.
here's
Yeah.
what I say. My reply is, I'm the first bassist on U.S. soil
Well,
to go toe to toe with Malmsteen on a daily basis and live to survive.
that's a survive.
I didn't sweat him. He didn't. I was the oldest guy in Steeler. He was 19. I was 27.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he didn't scare me.
Right. And
You
I
know.
don't think. Now, bringing up Steeler before we leave,
Okay.
there's going to be, like I told you in Messenger, there's probably going to be 3 or 82 parts to this. It's just the way it is. When there's a guest that wants to talk and share stories about himself, about his life, yeah, we do it in.
Well,
I'll have you
in lieu
back.
in lieu of writing my book, which I started years ago, and it's just been an ongoing thing. In lieu of a book, we'll have live stories.
There you go. I mean, tune in next week for.
It's recorded for
But
posterity. Yeah.
before we go, we since you brought up Steeler, there is an event happening
Yes,
in March.
that's right.
That's right, and you're going to be a big part of it. Tell
I'm going to
everybody
be.
what's happening in March.
Yeah, okay, I don't know about big, but I'm a part
Well,
of it
you're a
definitely.
part of it, man. I
Well,
mean, geez.
I was invited in 2020 21 to the Rock and Pod convention in Nashville, not knowing what it was about, except you do podcasts. So,
Right.
and I had like this one. We have done podcasts before. Excuse me. Ron Keel was there, and so the night before the convention, it was a jam session, and all my friends were there. Billy Sheehan was there with Greg Bissonnet. Carmine was there. Ricky Rackman was there, singer from Tesla, like that. And
Was it rare hair?
what's that?
Rare hair.
I think, yeah, I
I
don't
think
know. There was a
Tyson
lot of,
Leslie puts it on.
yeah, and so Ron and I got up and we did. We there was uh, there's a they have jam sessions there in Nashville called Rare Hair,
Yes,
and
it's
and
Tyson.
and
Yep.
yeah, and
Tyson Leslie does it all the
yeah,
time. Yep.
the keyboard
Fantastic.
keyboard player from Vixen sets it up.
Vixen. Yep.
Yeah. So Ron and I we went up. We did Cold Day in Hell, and we did
Nice.
the Right to Rock, and we did Cold Gin by Kiss.
Yes.
And Cold Gin brought the house down. I'm here to tell you. We had Jeremy Asbrook from Ace Frehley's band
Oh
playing with
yes.
us. Brandon Cook from Black and Blue.
Black and blue.
Chris Williams from Accept on
Oh wow.
drums.
Yeah.
There was another drummer. I'm trying to remember his name. We did on the Steel and the Keel songs. But I'm telling you, when we did Cold Gin, it brought the roof down. So
Always does.
and then I got to do the podcasts. The next day, I did, I guess, pretty well. We had a lot of fun. I
Right.
was only there for the 2 days, and then they didn't have it last year.
Due to
The pandemic, and
right.
all of that nonsense. So instead of having it in August, they moved it to next year, and it'll be in March.
March.
And God willing, I got invited back, and Ron is doing. We did Keel Fest 1 in Columbus, Ohio, in May 2019
19. Yep.
with the at the El Rosavilla, which was the club where Dimebag lost his life,
Yes.
like that. So Mitch Perry and I flew out. Mitch played guitar, Dwayne Miller on drums, Ron, of course, on vocals, and we brought the house down. But the intention was to do Keelfest every year. Well,
Right.
COVID threw up the kibosh on that.
Oh,
So,
it did. Yep.
so this time around, Ron got his gears working on this, and he's got 2 bands that he's producing or managing that are going to be with us on the bill. And then he's going to recreate
the fifth
the
with
fifth.
Roy Cathy, the fifth, and a brand new band he just signed called Crashing Wayward.
Right, exactly. And then he's got a song. He sent me a couple of songs. One's going to be a new Steelers song. One of them is going to have somebody of a little like all these other stars playing on it that we're working on called American Thunder, which I'm learning right now. But we're going to play the Keelfest too. It was a perfect opportunity to repeat Keelfest, and it's going to be Keel, Mark Ferrari, Brian J, like the Ron Keel band, Gino Arce on bass, and like that, and Steeler. So
Yes.
we're gonna recreate that again, and so I'm looking forward to that.
It's
God willing,
going to be fantastic.
I hope we don't go to World War, over in Europe.
No.
It's like so many times I get close to the brass ring and I'm about to touch it.
Don't worry about it.
Something happens.
It's happening. Chris Sisnick is in here. He's like, last year was magical weekend. Hoping we could top it in 2023. I absolutely believe. I looked at the lineup he has.
Crashing Wayward is Stacy Blades band from LA Guns. Okay.
Yes, yeah. I do believe so. I
don't know Stacy personally. I'm friends with Johnny Martin, the bass player.
Right. Okay.
Johnny's my bud, and Phil Lewis, of course. I knew Phil from the old LA Guns, like that.
That was good, dude.
And Steve Riley. I knew Steve Riley, but yeah. So Johnny's like my bass guy. We talk bass stuff and all the time. But right. I'd like to finally get to meet Stacy, like that, and
Yep.
So yes, thank you for bringing it up.
He's one of the guests, so makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be great. I have not registered my podcast yet, but I am. Chris, don't worry, I'm registering. I'm registering.
You should, yes.
Soon. Oh yes, I had a show that I did. I just did a show with the Fifth and Ron Keel for a big Toys for Tots drive. And I had Ron Keel and the Fifth do that among other bands. And so now that that's all over with, all the bills are paid for that. Now I can start focusing on other things. So I will definitely be there for Keelfest.
If you can be there, then it's it'll be like all times.
It'll be, you know what? I can sit over by you and you can sit over by me. We can do a thing. Heck yeah. It'll be a good time.
I'll be able to do my merch table correctly this time.
There you go.
Like when Ron goes, where were you? You should have been here Friday morning. He goes, you got to do your merch thing. So right. I have Robert Linthicum at So Perfect is helping me out with some Rik Fox t-shirts.
Oh, dude.
I'm going to have a very limited supply of those. And I think
Robert Linthicum he's awesome.
Yeah, I think he's going to make me some Winged Knight patches.
Patches.
Yeah, yep. Patches like that. And then I just, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I'm blessed to be able to still be doing this.
Absolutely.
I don't have my partner, my wingman, my wife is not here.
Wait a minute. We discussed this earlier. She is there.
But I'm saying
right here.
I
understand.
At the Rocket, she was talking to everybody, to coordinate with the coordinator, taking pictures and like that.
Right.
And so she was almost like a hostess, and everybody loved my wife. You should see my wife and Greg Bissonette trading jokes in the commissary. Yeah. Oh my God, it was hysterical.
She was a beautiful, beautiful woman.
Yeah, thank you. So so I'm grateful that Chris Chinchak and Aaron Camaro. These guys are sweethearts. Thank you for having me back.
Chris
thank you
is
so
fantastic.
Much.
He does a great job putting this on every year.
Ron Jones from Let It Rip, Rowdy Rocker. These guys, they've been so nice to me. It's like for all the things that people did to me negatively years ago, now it's people are being nice to me, so it's like it's come around,
And you know
So
what? We tend to focus on the negative. Somebody hurts us, that stands out. But we do, and then we don't really realize, all the positives that are going on around us until we take a step back and look. I usually focus on negatives. Oh, this happened, this sucks. But then there's 10 things going on that are positive that I'm not focused, that I'm not seeing
right,
because I'm blinded by, okay, this guy said this,
yeah,
but 10 people over here are saying positive. So you always got to try to, I'm learning this myself. You got to focus on the positive and drown out that negative, because all it is, negative people just, I don't understand them, how they can live their lives so negative, so much. Just crawl under a rock and go away.
yeah.
You're miserable yourself, so leave us alone.
Here's a little bit of love right here. See this? She's hugging
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
She puts her arms around you,
Aw.
and she nuzzles her nose into your neck.
Yeah.
She used to do this all the time with my wife, and now she does it with me. So
This big rock god guy,
you know what?
the winged knight of heavy metal, is snuggling a kitty cat.
You're on screen with a cat. You can't lose.
No, all the women out there and even the guys are going, "Aw, how cute!" Hey, it is.
Joanna.
We're human. I mean, geez, I got a
Yeah.
dog, and I just, I come in the door and lay on the ground with them, and got to show them love. We're their whole world. Our pets they've got no other world but us. So
Yeah.
we've got to.
Are you going to have a link for people who, in case they missed the show, we can come back and watch this?
Yes, I will be able. Well, actually, it'll stay up on my website
Yeah.
or on the Rockin' with B-Rock page. It's always there. It is also on the Rockin' with B-Rock YouTube channel. It's streaming live over there, and there's, I will post a link to go there,
Okay.
to find it tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, these live forever. Plus, I have a website, therockaltar.com, where you can go and browse past interviews I've done. Right on the homepage, you scroll down, browse past interviews, pulls right up my YouTube channel and all the ones I've done.
Okay.
So
Cool.
plus it's recording right now, and I think it'll stop after 2 hours. So I'm trying to get this. Got like a few more minutes left, but I'll download that, throw it somewhere. I can even send it to you,
Yeah.
and you can have. I'll send a file to you so that you
Okay.
have.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I have a
this
tendency
is
to be.
part one.
I have a tendency to be long-winded, but there's just so much to say.
Dude, there's always so much to say. I love guests. I love guys that want to talk. I mean, I don't want to do all the talking. It's, just talk. Tell me about yourself. And some guys takes them a little bit to open up. I knew damn well it wasn't going to take you long, but 2 minutes, once you got on, you were going to be going. So this is to all the podcasters out there that are going to Rocket Pod, you want to set yourself up to interview Rik Fox, because it's going to be a great one. It's going to be, we didn't even touch on half the shit we wanted to touch on. Like I said, part 2, 3, 82 are coming up.
Yep. We still got the wasp stuff to cover.
Oh yeah. That's the most interesting.
All 5 minutes of it.
Well, you know what? But it'll go. People love that. I mean, it is what it is. But I'll have you back, absolutely, or we'll sit down at Rockin' Pod and shoot the shit.
Yeah. Because we got my debut in '75 at Max's Kansas City. I became a veteran of the New York rock scene. Before I came to California. So
we got so much shit. Virgin.
Yeah.
Virgin.
Oh yeah. Of course. Oh wait. Let me wait. I gotta plug this too. Hold on.
You got to plug something.
It's got to be backwards. Jersey Metal.
It's not backwards.
The guys put me in Frank White got me in the Jersey Metal book.
There you go.
With Virgin and Aggressor and
Aggressor.
So I was,
nice.
The book is like that. It's marvelously put together. It's a killer book. It's real thick. It's great quality. Paper's like good quality paper. it's a big book. It's just, and it's the first of several. So
Nice. Cool.
yeah, all of early Bon Jovi's in there. All my Jersey rocker friends.
Yep.
So
Cool.
yeah, there'll be more to talk about.
We got more to talk about. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, thank you very much for coming, for chatting and talking and shooting the shit and letting us get to know you just a little bit better. And like I said, we'll be back. I'll get you back on easy, especially before Rock and Pod. I'll get you back on again,
Yeah.
so we could plug that a little more for Chris and get more people
Yeah.
knowing about Rock and Pod and Keel Fest going to be happening. New Steeler coming. So, but we'll get you back on. But thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. This is
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mike.
Stay in touch, and I'll stay in touch with you.
All right, we'll see you in the funny papers.
Oh yeah,
that's what I call Facebook. Used to be the Sunday Funnies.
Jesus Christ!
Now every day it's
Facebook. It's
the
Facebook.
funny papers.
I mean, Jesus.
Well, right now I'm in Facebook jail again, so I can't post.
Everybody, I think everybody is. I mean,
well, the Facebook's Communist Community Standards Party.
Exactly. I mean, when all my friends disappear, it's like, where'd everybody go? And I find out 30 days later they're back, and I'm like, oh, everybody was a fan.
Well, I posted an actual historical quote by Vladimir Lenin.
You're not allowed to do that.
The story of the big lie, and I was comparing it to what Blackie uses the big lie to deny that I was not in WASP, and I said Blackie had a little library in his house. One book I noticed, it's about the Nazi Party, the Nazis.
Oh my God!
And I said, "What's this book about?" He goes, "That's Joseph Goebbels. He's got it. They came up with the phrase, the big lie. The bigger the lie, it's such a take on the truth. It becomes a truth after a while,
right?
And look what he's done with his career, and denied that he's lied that I was not in the band. So I posted that, and I got in trouble, and I got the algorithm picked up the word Nazi.
Blackie turned you in.
I'm telling you, somebody did. It was on a metal group. I know that.
You know what? And some of them got, some of these guys are just like, so don't talk shit about this guy. Oh, and they just
you get punished. You get punished for 29 friggin' days.
I know, it's ridiculous. I mean, come on, give me a break.
It's like Facebook says you have a history of being restricted. You're like,
yeah, wow. Because your rules suck. You're stupid. I mean, Facebook it's a necessary evil.
So it's gonna suck on my birthday, which is later this month, the 28th of this month. I won't be able to post anything about my birthday.
Right.
And
but
people will be saying happy birthday, and I can't respond to it. I can't say thank you.
Then when you get out of jail, then you got a lot of thank yous to do. Hey, send us cards from prison. That'd be cool, right? Well, hey, what address do we send mail to prisoners?
Yeah, people say, you want me to send you a file so you can get out? I said, I got files on everybody.
Files on everybody.
So,
send you a shank.
All right, Mike.
All right, brother.
I thank you,
Very
buddy.
nice talking to you. You have a great night. Have a great weekend. And we'll talk.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll see you soon. See you out there.
Later.
All right. Peace out.
All right. What a great guy. I mean, I like him. I mean, I really dig Rik Fox. Fantastic dude. Like I said, we will be doing a part 2, 3. I mean, I'm going to have him back. He's such a great dude to talk to, if you haven't noticed. So, so many different facets to some of these musicians, and you just want to get to know more about them, like Rik Fox. Next week, special show. It is the annual year in review thing. I will be joined by Tony Dio out of North Carolina, Tim Swift out of Atlanta, Georgia, and the Canuck himself, one of my guys, CGCM Rock Radio, where my radio show's at. The guy who basically started it, CGCM Rock Radio. The Meister himself, Rich Dillon, will be also joining me. So there's four of us going to be doing a year in review. I got these guys together because we all got different tastes. Not really tastes, just different musical. Some like this style, that style. So there's different styles. So there will be a bunch of different bands that we will be encompassing, and just giving our like top 5, top 10, whatever albums, maybe shows of the year. But it'll be like a little year review. I guarantee you, with this bunch, there will be one or two bands that you've never heard of that they point you in the right direction, and you go check them out, and they're fantastic. So next Thursday, 7:30 p.m., Tony Dio, Rich Dillon, Tim Swift, and myself, year-end review. Be there, check it out. Going to be a good time. So that's all. I will post links to it tomorrow. Get everything rolling. Thank you for joining me again, and hope you had a good time. Hope you got informed. Just had a good time. That's what this is all about. So there will be more with Rik Fox later on, and I will let you know when I get that set up. You'll have a good weekend. Stay positive in a very negative world. Delete that negativity out of your life. Delete them people out of your life. And just keep rocking, man. I will see you next week. Later.